What's going on YouTube? Links Forte here, and today I'm excited to bring you my draft analysis for the major Pokemon League, the MPO. And oh my gosh, you guys, let me just say that all 11 Pokemon that I drafted, I've never used in the draft format. So, if that tells you anything, there's no Sylveon, there's no Dragonite, there's no Nidoking. So, I'm really happy that I'm going to be trying something new, but I do think I have a very powerful team. The team, or the way the draft worked, was that it was an open draft because it's kind of hard to make tiers or anything really without there being, tiers in place with Smogon. So yeah, I think this was the best way to go until, the Smogon tiers are solidified, or at least in a stable kind of state. Like right now, OU is crazy still. UU isn't finalized because there's still some broken ass Pokemon there. RU is just still in the beta, or is it alpha? I think it's still in beta. I think it's actually in beta, and NU hasn't been made yet. So this was definitely the best way to go about it. Otherwise, it's you're taking a long ass time. Like you and maybe a group of people are taking a long ass time trying to decide where to tier something, and it can work if you guys dedicate. If those group of guys can dedicate themselves. But I think this free draft makes things really fun and interesting. So, one other disclaimer about the draft. When it came to Pokemon with multiple forms, and I don't mean just the Rotoms, I mean Pokemon like Savali or Gourgeist, those Pokemon with different forms were counted as individual Pokemon. So Savali normal, fire, water, electric, etc., those were all different Pokemon. So that means there were 18 types of Savali that people could draft. When it's the Gourgeist forms, what are there, 3 or 4 different Gourgeists? There are 3 or 4 different Gourgeists that can be drafted. So with that being said, let me jump into my team. I had the second pick overall, and with the second pick, it's kind of hard to be sniped because everything is literally on the table except that one Pokemon who was taken before you. But I didn't really want anything but this one Pokemon, and Rogue had the first pick overall, and up until he picked, I was sweating bullets because I had 11 Pokemon on my list. And I was scared he would take it because that was my entire draft. Basically, after the first pick, everything was centered around that Pokemon. If he had not taken it, if he had taken that Pokemon, it would have just been chaos for me because I didn't have a plan. And even with the list that I made, I kind of figured maybe I would get 4 of them. But 4 was enough, to kind of get my core going. And I was just scared. So he ended up, up until the minute, he was like, okay, I'm gonna flip a coin, because he was deciding between 2 Pokemon. He was deciding to go try hard, or he was deciding to have fun. When he said to have fun, I was sweating bullets. He flipped a coin, and the coin ended in my favor. He got Greninja. I got Magearna. What I love about Magearna is not only its typing, but its stats. It is so evenly spread out. The 65 base speed isn't the greatest thing in the world, but what that 65 base speed does is it makes certain Pokemon run max speed if I decide to run max speed, or if I decide to choice scarf it. It's a really dangerous Pokemon if you're not preparing for it in the right way, and that's why I picked Magearna, because you can't really prepare for it in the right way. With its defensive stats, I can run it specially or physically bulky. I can run it specially offensive, and I can run max speed, especially offensive if I choose to. There's not really, 95 base stat isn't horrible, especially because it gets shift gear, which boosts its speed +2, and then boosts its attack +1. But it doesn't really have a deep enough move pool to utilize its attack stat. I think the only moves it really gets physically are Brick Break and Iron Head. I know it gets Iron Head for a fact, and I think Brick Break is the other one. I'm not 100% on that. So it doesn't really get the move pool on the physical side. But what you can do with that is you can still run shift gear just to get that doubling speed. And then at that point, you're probably outspeeding most of the metagame, or at least coming close to it. And so that's why I really wanted to draft Magearna, because it's such a dangerous threat, and it can run so many different things. So with my second pick, I had some options. Like, you know, I needed to prioritize my Pokemon at this point, and I wasn't sure with the 14th pick in the second round if at least one of them, I didn't think one of them would be, and that's why I decided to prioritize this Pokemon, because it was a fast Pokemon, it was a good Pokemon, one of the best Pokemon in OU, because it's, well, let's pull it up and talk about it. Weavile. It's one of the best Pokemon in OU, in my opinion, because it's such a fast hitter, great priority. It can be versatile, you know, give you fake out support, obviously Ice Shard to revenge kill something, you know, if it's slower, or, you know, if something has, if something has a priority move, majority of the time Weavile is outspeeding their priority move because, you know, it's a fast Pokemon. I didn't have a reason not to pick up Weavile right here, other than the fact that it now gives me, you know, two Pokemon weak to fire. It's not a huge deal though, because I still have 9 picks to go to patch this fire weakness up. And so that's why, you know, going into my third pick, I had the second pick again. I had the second pick in the third round, and going into this pick, I'm still looking at my team, and there are 3 Pokemon that, you know, I'm kind of deciding between. It's, which one do I take? You know, I started looking on the list, and I'm thinking, okay, this Pokemon I think I can grab later, so it's not a big deal right now. So I was really deciding between the other 2. And both Pokemon to me are going to be annoying. And I'm just like, okay, what do I really need right now? And so I'm looking at it, and I need to make sure I have a way to set up rocks. So I decided to pick up Azelf. Like I said, I'm picking up rocks. I'm picking up a fast rock setter, and I'm picking up a Pokemon that's really versatile in its move pool. It doesn't have the deepest of physical moves, but you can still run something like a U-turn. I know it gets explosion, or is it self-destruct? I think it's explosion. I don't know its full deep move pool as far as its physical side, but on the special side, it gets moves like, obviously it gets psychic. It also gets energy ball, thunderbolt. I think it gets flamethrower as well. So its special move pool is pretty deep, or at least deep enough to do what you need it to do. So it's kind of hard to prepare for, because I could possibly run choice specs. I could run like an assault vest on this thing or something like that to bluff like a choice scarf or something like that. It's just a versatile Pokemon that I really needed. And yeah, I didn't patch up my fire weakness, but I kind of mitigated that ground weakness outside of a mold breaker, Terravolt type Pokemon. So with my fourth pick, I decided to get the Pokemon that I didn't pick for the 4th round, because that other Pokemon I still felt like I could get later. And if not, I had backups for that other Pokemon, but this next Pokemon, I needed to patch up this fire weakness ASAP. Although the other Pokemon patched it up as well, I felt like getting this Pokemon was a little bit better, because now I'm going, you know, picking up a defensive Pokemon, or a Pokemon that's typically run defensive, in Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash typically run physically defensive, but don't count out being specially defensive, because it's just a great Pokemon. It can also run Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, and, you know, base 86 speed is nothing to sneeze at. With that kind of speed, you know, my opponents really have to be careful of what I may consider doing. It gives me a Pokemon with access to Will-O-Wisp, Volt Switch, obviously. Even though I had that in Magearna, I do have a second Pokemon to form my Volt Turn core alongside Azelf. It gives me a Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt. It gives me a great Pokemon that's really annoying. So far, I have an annoying team, which is what I want. And it's working out great for me so far. So I think this was the round. I don't think the Pokemon that I wanted to pick up 5th was taken in the 3rd round. I think it was taken in the 4th round. And the Pokemon I wanted was Zygarde. The reason I wanted Zygarde was just so I could spam, what's the move? So I could spam 1,000 arrows. And unfortunately, both forms were taken, I believe, in this same round. I didn't want 10%, I wanted 50% just purely for the bulk. gives me a little, a little bit more to play with. I think 10% was taken before I drafted Rotom, and I know 50% was taken after I drafted Rotom. So once that was gone, I had 2 backups for it, so I wasn't really worried. The issue was my first backup going to be there, and I wasn't sure about it. And it got to my pick, which was the 6th pick in the 5th round, and Salamence was still there. I couldn't be any happier than to say Salamence is now on my team. Oh man, what can you say about Salamence? It's a scary dragon. It doesn't get priority, unfortunately, but you don't know whether it's going to run Intimidate or Moxie. With Intimidate, it can be bulky. With Moxie, one Dragon Dance usually can outspeed the majority of the meta minus the Choice Scarf. I think it actually outspeeds all of the meta outside of a Choice Scarf. And then if you're running, if you get one Dragon Dance up, you're outspeeding all of the meta. And then you could just proceed to, get Moxie Boost after Moxie Boost after Moxie Boost. So you have to be worried about that sweep. And that's the reason I picked Salamence, since Zygarde was no longer there. It gives me, like I said, an annoying Pokemon that's hard to prep for. Well, Salamence is easy to prep for, but it's hard to play against, I should say. And I couldn't pick a better dragon, in my opinion. Salamence is probably one of the better dragons in the Draft League format, but I only wanted Zygarde purely for the 1,000 Arrow shenanigans. So going into the 6th round, all of my other Pokemon on my list, except one, were taken. Like I said, I had 11 Pokemon on my list. I got the first 5 I wanted. The other, there's 6 left on my list. 5 of those 6 were taken prior to the 6th round. This Pokemon here, I know I could have waited maybe another 2 or 3 rounds, but looking at my team, I needed Hazard Control. And on my list, like on my original list, I only had 2 Pokemon with Hazard Control outside of Salamence. Salamence, I can run Defog if I so choose. But looking at my original list, Excadrill was on my original list alongside this Pokemon as well. And it gave me, with this Pokemon not being taken, I kind of had to go for it as soon as possible because I didn't know when I would get another way to remove hazards. So I decided to draft the new channel mascot, Komala. Komala is nothing to sneeze at. Komala has a base 115 attack and a base 95 special defense. This thing can take some hits. Base 65 HP isn't the greatest in the world, but you cannot deny that Komala can take some hits, and then it can dish out pain just as badly. I have some footage on my channel if you guys want to go check out the battles of what Komala can do. And I plan on using Komala, pretty well this season. Again, base 65 right there with Magearna. I doubt I will ever use Komala in like a Choice Scarf role or a max speed kind of role, but you never know. In Draft League, you never know what to expect. It can just be something I decide last minute. It's like, you know what? This might be fun. This might catch him off guard, because no one's gonna expect that. I don't even expect me ever running it because it doesn't 100% make sense. So that's where I am with Komala. Now at this point, like I said, I'm looking at my team and I don't know what to pick. I have 6 Pokemon that were on my list of 11. I'm completely satisfied with that because I thought I was only going to get 4. So to get 6 Pokemon out of my 11, I'm happy. But I have decisions to make. I originally wanted Tangrowth. That was taken. And so I knew I needed, a good grass type because I have the water type there. I sort of have my Fairy Dragon Steel Core because Magearna fills 2 of those roles. So I kind of have that, although I don't want to say that's great to have it just between 2 Pokemon, but it kind of fills that role. So now I kind of like, okay, let me work on my Fire Water Grass Core. And so I'm looking at Pokemon, and remember what I said in the beginning about the different forms. I was thinking, Gourgeist would be a great Pokemon. And as I'm getting ready to type it out in the chat that this is the Pokemon I'm taking, I remembered the rule. Because at the time, I didn't remember the rule. And I was like, wait, isn't there a rule about Pokemon with different forms? So I had to go look it up real quick. And I'm so glad I checked that before I clicked enter, because I had the whole thing typed out. I just hadn't hit enter yet. Luckily, I looked it up. And what I decided to draft here, matter of fact, I think something else, I wanted something else and it was taken before I got there, but I don't remember what it was. But I still was able to pick up Chestnut. Now, Chestnut gives me a physical attacker as well as a physically defensive Pokemon. Now, remember, I have Komala, which is somewhat specially bulky there, and I have Magearna, which can be specially bulky, same with Rotom. This gives me a dedicated physical wall, a Pokemon that's scary offensively, and it, you know, gives me the second part of my Fire, Water, Grass core. It gives me something, you know, if I need to, I have Leech Seed there for me. I can stall out my opponents if need be. It gets access to Drain Punch, so I don't necessarily need to run Leech Seed. Leech Seed can just be for team support. Oh, speaking of Komala, Komala gives me Wish support, so that's there if I ever need it to be. And I mean, there's not much else to say about Chestnut other than, you know, I felt like I got a great pick here, especially because, you know, the majority of the great Pokemon that I would have needed for my team have already been taken. And Chestnut, I think, is a great backup to Tangrowth. So going into the 7th round, I think this is where we are, the 7th round. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we're going into the 8th round. So going into the 8th round, I was really trying to decide. I'm looking at my team, and I don't really have anything to take special hits. Like I said, Magearna's there, Rotom is sort of there, Komala's there, but at the end of the day, depending on the Pokemon they're going up against, they don't want to take too many hits. So before I made this pick, I kind of devised a strategy in my head. Let's continue to be annoying. We had all been joking about this Pokemon not being picked yet, and I looked at my team and I was like, I need another way to set up Stealth Rocks. I need a Pokemon that's fat, so I'm gonna grab Chansey. And I don't have anything else to say about that. It's Chansey. Like, it gives me a Cleric. It gives me a fat Pokemon that can Wish Pass. It gives me a Pokemon that status is all time. It gives me a status absorber. I already have a status absorber in Komala, but this gives me another one so I don't have to run Komala every week. That's the main reason for Chansey, but also the main reason for Chansey is because I had a second Pokemon in my mind. I wanted another Pokemon the next round. The issue is the next Pokemon that I wanted didn't even make it past my next pick. Whoever it was picked after me drafted Cofagrigus, and I wanted Cofagrigus. I wanted it so bad so I could form that annoying pair with Chansey. After he picked it, I was like, I don't even want Chansey anymore. Like, I really don't. But I mean, Chansey still works for me because, like I said, it gives me a fat Wish Passer. It gives me something to eat up hits. It gives me a Cleric, which I didn't necessarily have. I don't think Azelf gets Heal Bell. Maybe it does, and I just need to look into it. But I'm not disappointed that I have Chansey at all. Not saying it'll make it all the way to the end of the season, but I'm not disappointed that I have it. Now with my next Pokemon, since Cofagrigus was picked, and I was like, okay, I got 3 picks left. I have options for Ghost Pokemon, just obviously they're in the lower tier, and I think I can pick them up later. I was like, you know what? Let me finish off this Fire, Water, Grass core, and I'm looking at all the fire types left. I decided to grab Magmortar. Now, I was debating between Magmortar and Typhlosion. Originally, my plan was to pick up Typhlosion because obviously it had a base, I think Typhlosion has a base 109 speed along with a base 109 special attack. I'm not 100%, but I chose Magmortar over the deeper, because of the deeper move pool as well as the higher base special attack. That's kind of purely the reason. I don't really have any other options. I mean, other things to say about that. Other than that, you know, we're not drafting megas this season because all the megas aren't available. So that's why there's, you know, that's kind of why I have limited options for fire types. But I think I did pick up a great Pokemon in Magmortar. it's something that can be really annoying, I believe. Now, down to my last two picks, I kind of looked at my team and was like, I don't want to have to run defog on Salamence if I don't have to. So that's telling me that my only way of hazard control is Komala. But at the same time, I don't have a way to stop anyone from, you know, removing the hazards that I set up. Like, I have Stealth Rocks on my team, I have Spikes on my team, and I don't have a way to keep anyone from removing them if they decide to Rapid Spin. I mean, I have Taunt to stop a defog, but I don't have a Ghost to stop, you know, Rapid Spin. And at the same time, I don't have any other options to remove my opponent's what is it? I don't have any other options to remove my opponent's hazards. So with my last two picks, I'm kind of trying to figure them out together. I'm looking for a way to remove hazards, and I'm looking for a Ghost. I don't want it in one Pokemon because, you know, I'm picking at the bottom of the barrel as it is with these last two picks. So I go ahead and decide I'm just going to take a Ghost, and I'm going to take Mismagius. Mismagius won this slot over Dusclops purely because of the fact that it's offensive and it can do more than Dusclops can. Dusclops is just straight up stally, and it's not my style. Like, Chansey is there, but Chansey, I can play with Chansey in different ways. Chansey, it's the one Pokemon, and Dusclops can't really do anything. What does Dusclops do? It's normally like Will-O-Wisp, Pain Split, Nightshade, and I think it runs Infestation now. I don't know what it used to run, but I think it runs Infestation now. So it's kind of like, I really don't want Dusclops. Dusclops doesn't do anything else. It kind of, like, Dusclops forced me to run Nightshade. I don't even know if I said Nightshade last time when I was listing off his attack, but Dusclops is forced to run Nightshade because it has a piss poor offensive stat. At least I think it does. But it's kind of one of the reasons why, like, I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to take Mismagius because Mismagius has a deep enough move pool in Shadow Ball, Thunderbolt, Energy Ball. I think it gets a Fire Stab as well. Or, well, not a Fire Stab, a Fire Move as well. But Mismagius gives me options that, you know, basically my entire team is built on right now. And that's kind of the reason why I picked it. So, like I said before with my last pick, I needed hazards. I needed a way to control hazards, or, you know, just to move, to get them off the field, so no one can just hazard stack me the entire game. There's not much left. I think one of the Hitmons was left, maybe not. But I didn't want Hitmon. I didn't want any of the Hitmons. I know Hitmonlee was taken well before this round. I don't remember if it was Hitmontop or Hitmonchan that was left. But I had the fourth pick in the final round, so I had some options, and overall I decided I needed a defogger. So I decided to pick up Skuntank, and it's a fairly bulky Pokemon, base 103 HP. You know, that's where the bulk is really. It has a decent attack stat in 93 and decent speed tier 84. So I felt like, you know, this is a good Pokemon to pick up just for defog support. It does get priority in Sucker Punch, and then its ability Aftermath is a good ability, you know, if you obviously know your opponent is just going to take you down with a hit or something like that. So that's my team. I am fairly happy with my team. Obviously, I wish, you know, some picks that could have been different. Like, before I picked Magmortar, no lie, the pick before me, I wanted Salazzle, and that's when Salazzle was taken, the pick before I picked Magmortar. Which is why I was kind of looking at Typhlosion or Magmortar. Like, I was ready to start typing Salazzle, and then boom, Salazzle was taken. Speaking of Salazzle, we gotta face it the first week, but we'll get to that in the team builder. But yeah, like, I am really happy with my team. So after, you know, the team was together, I had a decision to make as far as who are my Z Pokemon going to be. Originally, I only had we get 2 Z Pokemon, and originally I only had 2 options. Like, I didn't even look at any other Pokemon prior to the end of this draft. My 2 Z Pokemon were originally going to be Magearna and Azelf. I think Magearna has the power and somewhat of a move pool to run it, but I think overall I was just like, I'm not sold on it. And then Azelf, like I said before, he has the move pool. He has the power. He has the speed to run it. So he was still on the list. And then Salamence was there, and I was like, I've seen, you know, several battles of people using Salamence, and I'm just like, this can put in some work. And so like I'm looking at my other Pokemon, I'm like, obviously Kamala's not running the Z move, Chansey's not running the Z move, Magmortar maybe. I don't even think I even considered Chestnut for that role. I know I wasn't using Rotom or Weavile. I think I may have had Miss Magius on that list, but Skuntank definitely was not on that list. So my options were at this point Azelf, Salamence, Magmortar, and Miss Magius. Straight up, Miss Magius dropped from that list pretty quick. So I started looking at Magmortar. Like, I knew what Azelf and Salamence could do. I started looking at the list between Magmortar and Miss Magius, and Miss Magius dropped from that list. But Magmortar, like, I was looking at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, the only thing bad about Magmortar is his speed. Like, do I really want to do that with his speed tier? Ultimately, the answer came yes. So Magmortar is one of my Z Pokemon, and the other is Salamence. And it's gonna be fun. Let's just leave it at that. This is gonna be a fun season, I believe. I'm hoping I can learn a whole lot. Ultimately, I'm hoping I can walk away with this championship as a rookie. Anyway, this is Link's Forte. Stay tuned for these battles. I think I said this in the beginning, or maybe I didn't, I don't know. Links are in the descriptions to the MPL's Twitter, their YouTube channel, as well as the docs for the season if you want to keep up with that. Again, Link's Forte, I'm out. Peace.